In the far north, where the winter nights stretched long and the snow whispered secrets across the frozen ground, there was a small village nestled against the edge of Greenland's icy coast. Smoke curled lazily from stone chimneys, and the villagers moved carefully over the white blanket that softened each footstep. Here, among the icy winds and gentle, crackling fires, a boy named Leif Erikson was born. From his earliest days, Leif seemed different from the other children. While others ran and shouted across the snowy fields, he would sit quietly, watching the horizon where the sky met the sea. The wind as soft sighs and the gentle rocking of the ice-choked waves spoke to him in ways words never could. Before sleep, he would lie awake listening to the distant ocean, imagining lands that existed beyond sight, lands the stories whispered about, but no one had yet reached. Leif's father, Eric the Red, was a man of fire and force, known for his daring explorations and his unyielding determination. But he also had a deep understanding that strength alone could not guide a man across the vast, unknown seas. Eric would often stand with Leif at the edge of the icy shore, silently watching the waves. No words were needed between them. In those quiet moments, the boy learned patience, observation, and the quiet courage that would one day carry him far from home. Childhood passed slowly, wrapped in layers of wool and frost. With long evenings spent beside the fire, the village children played with wooden swords and carved animals from driftwood. Leif, however, often wandered alone, collecting seashells and pebbles that seemed to hum with ancient stories. The elders watched him carefully, noticing the deep curiosity in his eyes and the unusual calm that settled over him like a soft cloak. "The boy will go far," one of them whispered to another, as the northern lights danced silently across the sky, not because he runs, but because he listens. One quiet winter night, when snow fell like feathered blankets from the sky and the wind whispered against the stone cottages, a traveler arrived at the village. His eyes were wide with wonder and exhaustion, his voice low and careful. He spoke of a land to the west, green and fertile, that he had seen through a storm's mist. Many villagers laughed at his tales, dismissing them as dreams born of cold and fear. But Leif listened, and his heart quickened. The story wrapped around him like the warmth of the fire, calling him to the unknown. Because the Vikings knew that sometimes the greatest calls are not shouted, they are whispered. Leif spent years preparing for his journey. He did not rush. He studied the stars, learned the patterns of the wind, and quietly tested the currents near the coast. He chose a modest ship, sturdy but simple, and a few men who understood silence, patience, and respect for the vast living sea. When the morning finally arrived, the sun was low and soft on the horizon as they departed. There were no songs or boisterous celebrations, only the quiet creaking of wood, the gentle slap of waves against the hull, and the steady rhythm of their hearts. The sea welcomed them with a calm gentleness at first, each wave a slow, rocking lullaby. Days passed, and the horizon seemed endless, stretching like a ribbon of gray and blue. At night, stars shimmered like tiny lanterns guiding their way. The men spoke little, for words were unnecessary in a place so vast. Silence became their companion, teaching them as much as any teacher could. Then the storm came. It rose quickly, like an ancient spirit awakening from a long slumber. Waves towered like mountains. The wind tore at their sails and hair, and the sea roared with a power both terrifying and magnificent. But Leif did not panic. He moved with the ship, listening to the rhythm of the waves and trusting the wood and rope that had carried him so far. Every movement was deliberate, calm, and steady. He knew that some storms must simply be endured. When the storm finally passed, the world felt different, soft, silent, almost sacred. The mist lifted, revealing the greenest land any of them had ever seen. Trees stretched upward toward the sky. Birds sang unfamiliar songs, and the soft smell of fresh soil and growing things filled the air. Leif stepped onto the shore and felt the earth itself welcoming him. This was Vinland. The seasons passed slowly in this new land, They built simple shelters, learned the rhythm of the land, and watched the world awaken in quiet wonder each day. Morning mists curled around the trees. Deer moved silently through the undergrowth, and the sound of rivers flowing over stones became a lullaby for their days. The land was alive, but not to be possessed. It was a teacher, showing them beauty, patience, and balance. Leif met the people who already lived on the land. At first there was fear, soft glances, careful steps, and whispered words. But he approached them with respect and gentleness, showing through his actions that he meant no harm. Slowly, trust grew. Even the smallest gestures, offering food, sharing shelter, laughing together at a bird's strange song, built connections between them. Leif learned that discovery was not about claiming something, but about understanding it. One calm evening, as the sky blushed with the soft orange and pink of sunset, Leif sat by the fire, listening to the crackle of wood and the gentle sighs of the wind. He realized that Vinland would remain free. It would not be conquered or taken, for some places exist not to be owned, but to teach. When the time came to return to Greenland, the journey back was quiet. The ship moved easily across the calm waters, and each man carried a sense of peace, knowledge, and humility that was unseen but deeply felt. No gold, no treasure was needed. These were not the gifts that truly mattered. When the familiar Greenland shore appeared on the horizon, the men did not cheer. There was no need for celebration. The true achievement was silent, internal, and eternal. When Leif guided his ship to the shores of Greenland, people noticed that he brought no gold and no treasure with him. Yet on his face was not the look of a man who had gone away, but the calm of one who had truly returned. He had not brought back a new land, but the understanding that courage can expand the boundaries of the human spirit. The children of the village gathered around him, listening quietly as he told them about Vinland's trees, its birds, and its winds. "The world is bigger than you think," Leif said, "but if you do not approach it with respect, it will close its doors to you." Years passed. Leif grew old. But every spring, when the sea became calm again, he would walk down to the shore and gaze at the horizon. For some journeys end, but the calling inside a person never truly fades. The Vikings say, a man is not remembered for how far he traveled, but for what he brought back when he returned. And even today, when the northern wind blows, there is still a whisper among the waves. Vinland is still there. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please consider subscribing for more journeys into history and the human spirit. See you next time.